I concentrated my consciousness and transplanted the multiple parallel existences into the pseudo-soul Gizzy Khan. Success. There are no problems here either, and the ability skill will be activated. That's good. It seems he has succeeded in transferring a portion of his current consciousness into Nice Guy's corpse, in other words, his own body from his original world. And just in time, Diablo also returns. I've just returned. Diablo could probably return to the base world on his own, but it would be safer if I brought him back. I had planned to wait for him, so this was perfect. You're tired. Have you finished your business? For now, I think we can have some fun together later at our leisure with Testarossa and the others. Q-fu-fu-fu-fu. Okay, just in moderation, okay. I don't ask what you plan to do. Even if you listen, nothing good will come of it. Rather than worrying about that, I should have left this place quickly before I Mikami Satoru woke up. Just as I was about to jump through space-time or time warp to return to my room, Tamura spoke to me. What on earth are you doing? Well, I guess so. I can understand why you would want to ask that question if an incredibly beautiful girl me was doing something suspicious right in front of you. However, the world is not that kind. I felt no obligation to give him a proper answer, so I decided to leave him with some advice as a senior. Hey, Tamura, from now on, please respect your seniors properly and don't try to brag about anything weird. Also, I'll take care of my PC myself, so I'll cancel that request. Tamura was even more confused. I gave Tamura a grin and left the place. There's no need to say much. After that, Mikami Satoru, will stay behind and explain things. I woke up. The smell of chemicals and a unique atmosphere. Here I am, lying in a hospital bed in the nostalgic world of before my reincarnation. And then, the familiar body of a man with whom she had been together for 37 years. When I checked quietly, I found that my son was still alive and well. It was good. I believe this from the bottom of my heart. However, I was a little worried that it might no longer be usable. What, you say you've never used it? I'll kill you, you bastard. It is good manners to keep it ready to use at any time. Preparation is important. Well, that's beside the point. What has happened up until now wasn't a dream, right? I'd really appreciate it if you could spare me the ending of a dream that was caused by the shock of being stabbed. If all that hardship was just a daydream, it would be no laughing matter. However, with how peaceful it all seems, I would probably believe it if someone told me it wasn't a joke at all and was just a dream. If that's the case, then I have no choice but to accept it. It's a blessing that we were safe, and above all, peace is the most important thing. Just as I was coming to terms with this, someone came into the hospital room. Ah, senpai, you're awake. It was Tamura. Apparently, they got into an ambulance and accompanied me to the hospital. Tamura, this is a hospital, right? That's right. The police were here just a while ago, but the doctor told them to get a thorough checkup just to be sure, so they left. It looks like he'll be coming again tomorrow, Tamura says. Police? Why? Please calm down. Senior, you were stabbed by a random assailant. Do you remember? The police have come to get information about the assailant. Ah, I see. I remember. But I did get stabbed, didn't I? There is no pain, and my body is in good health. Upon careful inspection, there are no scratches, which is probably due to the effects of the full recovery medicine or full potion. Or maybe it was really just a dream. If I had misunderstood that I was stabbed, and in fact I had just been frightened and fainted, then it was possible that it was really just a daydream. Actually, you probably won't believe this, but a mysterious woman, a stunningly beautiful woman who puts models and celebrities in the shade, brought me back to life. You might laugh at me for saying this, but it's true. And as proof, take a look. At this, Tamura answered my question. When I looked, I saw that the back of my suit, hanging on the wall, was covered in dark red bloodstains. Looking more closely, I saw a small tear. It appears that it must be the large amount of blood I had shed. In other words, being stabbed was a reality. That means that my memories were not dreams, but actual experiences. Yes, everything is as Master Lord thought. Can we use the Great Sage here too? Oh, I remember now. It seems that Rimuru and I are able to synchronize our memories, or rather, back them up. It seems that Rimuru has kept a complete record, but there is little information I can read from him. Or rather, once he returned to the base world, I was no longer able to read much of it. Still, I was able to figure out what he did here. Seal said, "There's no problem here either, and the ability skill will activate." But she wasn't talking about Rimuru's side, but about me, who'll be staying here. Just to be sure, it's not Seal, right? If he didn't answer, the chances of it being Seal increased. Well, I don't really care about that point, but I just hope they don't impose any strange restrictions on me. Even so, I was nervous, thinking it was a dream, but I realized that this was also a prank or mischief by me Rimuru. The prank was a huge success. They must be laughing out loud over there. That guy, and I mean myself, is even acting like a playful person towards me. As I was feeling indignant like that, Tamura spoke to me in a troubled tone. It's hard to believe after all. No, I believe you. Picture. I have my own reasons for being different. Tamura, I have reason to believe your story. Really, I saw it with my own eyes, but it's hard to believe. Ha ha ha, maybe so. Oh, and it looks like the police will be wasting their time. After all. Yes. No, nothing. If I told Tamura that, he probably wouldn't believe me. The person who killed me must be suffering terribly right now, he said. When Diablo came along, I realized what was going on. Putting me aside, there's no way Diablo would forgive the culprit. By now, probably. With Testarossa and the others also involved, the culprit would not be allowed to rest in peace. It seems that Ultima is good at this sort of thing, and the endless torture he endures must be making him regret ever being born. There was no point in saying that, so I decided to just laugh it off. As we were talking, Sawatari-san came into the hospital room. Apparently, he contacted his parents and said that my family would come rushing over in the middle of the night. That said, there's nothing for them to do even if they come. It might be awkward since his injuries have already healed. He'll be able to leave the hospital soon, so I think just a phone call would have been fine. Still, it wasn't so bad to see my parents' and older brother's faces after such a long time. Thinking this, I enjoyed chatting for a while. Apparently there will be police and inspections tomorrow, but they are expected to finish by the evening. Shall I bring you some clothes tomorrow? Oh yeah, can I ask you a favor? The suit hanging on the wall was covered in bloodstains and had no choice but to be thrown away. Even if you are discharged from the hospital, you will probably need a change of clothes. Of course, if you hadn't protected me, I don't know if I would be safe now. When Tamura said that, I took out the key to my apartment from my bag that was on the table next to my bed and handed it to Tamura. I had invited him over a few times before, so I felt at ease with the request. Well, see you tomorrow. Injuries aside, it was a serious incident, so please take good care of yourself. With that, Tamura and Sawatari said their goodbyes and left. And then, late at night, even though visiting hours had long passed, for some reason my parents and older brother were still in my hospital room. His older brother is also a doctor, so he may have used his connections to the fullest. By the way, my brother's wife wasn't there because his niece and nephew were in the middle of their entrance, exam, battles, and someone had to look after them. My niece is taking the university entrance exam, and my nephew is in high school. I understood that it was a hellish scene, so I didn't complain at all. More than anything, I am grateful that my parents and older brother came too. Toki, however, you idiot, you're making me worry. The first thing he said was, he yelled at me. And then a punch to the head. You know, I'm already 37 years old. He's a respectable member of society and a grown-up. You're not a child anymore, so stop punching me. Before that, corporal punishment is simply not acceptable these days. I wish I could say that, but my brother has taken care of me in so many ways, and I still can't look him in the eye, so I'll just have to accept it and say, it's my fault for making you worry. I would win if we fought, but in our house, my older brother is the great one. Now, Kenikai Satoru. It's not Satoru's fault, so please forgive him. My father is as calm as ever. That's right, the culprit hasn't been arrested yet, right? We should be doing something about that, not the victim, Satoru. Mother, what do you want from your brother? My father has a personality that doesn't know how to get angry, and my mother is extremely naive towards me, so it turns out that my older brother ends up getting mad at me. Wow, this brings back so many memories. Even after moving to Tokyo, I would occasionally go back home on vacation, but the construction industry is busy. It had been a long time since I had been scolded for only staying for a few days. So, are you hurt? Well, miraculously, it healed completely and there's no scar left. That's impossible according to common sense. My brother said this and let out a big sigh. Well, as long as you're safe, that's fine. He was concerned about that, but he told me to check before dropping my fist. Well, Satoru has always been a bit overconfident. That's why his mother spoils him, and he never reflects on his actions. My ears hurt. I certainly thought, I can avoid the knife, and at worst, even if I get stabbed, I won't die. Tamura has a fiancé and is about to get married, so I think that if anything were to happen, I would be better off than him. I knew I would definitely get in trouble if I said this, so I just said I was absorbed in what I was doing. Speaking of spoiling, there was my late grandmother. She was a very strict person, but she was very kind to Satoru. Yeah, I remember too. It was the first time I saw Grandma Shizu laughing. Grandma Shizu. She was holding the newborn Satoru in her arms, saying with a happy look on her face, "Look, we meet again." Well, I was very surprised because even when Kenichi was born, he was a strict person. That's right, Satoru. Grandma Shizu gave you your name. That's right. Even before he was born, she was adamant that he was a boy and would name him Satoru, and she was adamant about that. I see, I've never heard of that before. Both my maternal and paternal grandmothers passed away before I was even old enough to remember. So this was the first time I had heard my grandmother's name, but I never expected it to be. It's possible that you heard about it but simply forgot. Let's be quiet for a moment. We're in the middle of an important discussion, so I'll ignore any unnecessary interruptions. Was my grandmother's name Shizu? That's right. Locally, she was feared and called Demon Shizue. My heart is starting to beat faster. This is definitely the one. I heard that he was undefeated in fights. He not only defeated local thugs, but even the Yakuza, and was a tough man who survived the post-war period. It's surprising because there is an urban legend that he had a short sword that was so sharp it could even cut through bullets. In fact, it's not funny. Apparently, my grandfather, who won the heart of Grandma Shizu, had become a legend in the local area. He was told that it was impossible and that he should give up, but he couldn't give up on Grandma Shizu, who he had fallen in love with at first sight, and so he took on the reckless challenge. He has passed away now. So it's impossible, but I would have liked to hear his heroic tales in person. Needless to say, the result was a miracle. Well, if it hadn't happened, my father wouldn't have been born, and I wouldn't exist. Either. By the way, the grandfather we're talking about was apparently the spitting image of me when he was young. I used telepathy to convey my memories to Shizu, and even showed her my face from my previous life, my current self, so if she saw her grandfather, she would realize that we were related by blood. If that happens, the more I heard this story, the more I thought it must be Shizu herself. Actually, I looked at the photo of my grandmother that was on display, and there were no burn marks on her face. She still looked sharp even as she got older, so I thought she must have been very beautiful in the past. So, my grandmother left a will, and we remembered it, so we all came out here. Yeah. Here it is, from your grandmother to you. The package that was handed to me contained a small sword and a sealed letter. Yes, it's confirmed. This kodachi was the item I gave to Shizu. Shortly afterwards, the family members said they had finished their business and left. And so, sitting in my private hospital room, I began to slowly read the letter from Shizu. Dear Sir Madam, to Slime Rimuru, thank you for helping me so many times. Not only did you save the children, which was my regret, but you also helped everyone, including Hinata and Yuuki. And I couldn't be more grateful that you've reunited me with my mother. I'm relieved to hear that you've made peace with the demon Lord Leon. Now that I know his true feelings, my resentment has been cleared. I'm really glad to know that there was a misunderstanding. Even so, Rimuru is truly amazing. He ended major wars, brought the world to peace, and saved everyone from sadness. I was really surprised that he ended up becoming a god. I was so happy that you were born as my grandson. To me, Rimuru is Satoru, my adorable grandson. Satoru-san, I was happy. I wanted to try the game, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to exist yet. I wanted to play with Satoru. It's a little sad, but I'm satisfied. Your birth made me realize that my life will continue into the future. I wanted to talk with you more, but I'll save that for another time. I hope you stay healthy and continue to make great strides. Smart. After I finished reading the letter, I closed my eyes. I want to loudly say that I have not become a god. There were many other things I thought about, but as long as Shizu was happy, I was satisfied too. I would like to spend the night today mourning Shizu. Rest in peace this time. With this wish in mind, I looked up at the night sky from the hospital window. In the evening, Tamura came to visit me to deliver some clothes and other things. Senpai, did you sleep well? Here's your change of suit. Yeah, thanks. You didn't touch my PC, did you? Hahaha, the password was too strong, I couldn't start it. Did you touch it? There really is no room for carelessness or mistakes. From now on, I'll make sure no one touches me and I never get hospitalized. Again. That's what I vowed to myself. And then, I continued my conversation with Tamura while changing into my suit. So, how was the test? Yeah, there's no problem after all. Well, that's good, but it's strange. I thought so too, but apparently this kind of thing happens about once or twice a year. Since there is little magical energy in this world, I thought that magic didn't exist. However, that wasn't actually the case, and strange cases had apparently been observed. The detective who came today also mentioned that he might receive a call from a related department. This world was also created by Veldanava, so perhaps there are observers or something. Well, that's not important right now. When they contact you, you can think about it then. Oh, really? Seriously, apparently the culprit was spirited away after all. He was caught on surveillance cameras around town until partway through, but then he suddenly disappeared. Oh, I see. Well, that was Diablo's doing. There's no need to say anything about that, but at this point, I suddenly felt like trying Tamura out. Tamura is a serious and trustworthy junior, so I felt it would be okay to tell him a few secrets. After leaving the hospital and having dinner, we moved to a quiet bar. I know this is a little late, but is it really okay for you to come out drinking right after being released from the hospital? Don't worry about it. It's really too late now, and there's no way I can come all this way and go home without having a drink. More importantly, taking a sip of my cocktail, I asked Tamura a question. By the way, Tamura, would you believe me if I told you that after I died I went to another world? As I observed him from the side, Tamura looked confused for just a moment. He must have wondered what I was going to say. That would be a normal reaction, or so I thought, but Tamura answered with a very serious expression. I believe you, senpai. I have actually witnessed strange events, and that woman may have looked mysterious, but her tone and attitude towards me were strangely like senpai's. Hey. If you say that, it sounds like I, Rimuru, am saying that the inside is disappointing. Now that I think about it, maybe that person was a senior I even thought of. Something as ridiculous as that. Although he seems insensitive, he is a surprisingly sharp junior. But I guess it's okay to pass the exam. I see. Well then, I'll tell you what happened to me. Would you like to hear it? I jokingly confirm this, prefaced by saying that it's an unbelievable story. Tamura then nodded with a small laugh. Yes, please. Those eyes were very straightforward. I smiled and nodded. I see. So, let me tell you about it. About that time, I got reincarnated as a slime. The end. Ame. Afterward. Sorry to have kept you waiting, everyone. The novel version has been serialized for over 10 years, but it has finally been completed. It's been said that the series is going to be a scam, and several volumes have already been added, and this time it's the real final volume, lol. A story is only beautiful when it has an ending. That's what I honestly feel as a reader who has been waiting for many novels that never end for many years. That's why I was determined to finish my own work, so I'm overwhelmed with emotion that my wish has come true. By the way, only the main story has been finished. Since there are plans to continue with spin-offs and side stories in the future, I'm willing to accept criticism that the series is a fraudulent conclusion. Laughs. Immediately after finishing reading, my editor, Mr. I, gave me a frank comment. Along the lines of, doesn't this lack an epilogue? I'm curious if you could write more about what happens to Tempest afterwards. I was looking for feedback like it was interesting or moving, so I was surprised. To begin with, the amount of text was 50% more than usual, which was about the limit of what a book can handle. I predicted that this would happen around May of this year, so I suggested, wouldn't it be better to split it into 2 volumes? If only Mr. I, the editor-in-chief, had made the decision to postpone the conclusion. Until next year, please take your time to finish writing it. I wouldn't have had any objections, but it seems Mr. I also has some objections. If things continue like this, it seems like a lot of things will be exposed in X or something lol. We are nice adults, so we are experts at playing catch with the ball of responsibility at high speed. We will leave it to you, the wise readers, to decide which side is right. But, well, it's an undeniable fact that the main story has now ended. To be honest, I wanted to take my time and think about it for the final volume. If that's the case, it may have taken several years to come out. Laughs. In fact, there is still a lot I haven't written about what happens to Rimuru's companions afterwards. This volume made me feel even more anxious than usual. That I might have forgotten to write something. That feeling still remains with me. even now as I write the afterword, so I hope to reflect it in future spin-offs and other stories. If you have any opinions about stories you would like to read, please feel free to send them to my activity reports. I may not adopt all of them, but I'll use them as a reference. As for future plans, I would like to publish some Tensei Slime related books at a rate of about one per year. I plan to write the 2 stories that were serialized on the web. The setting itself has changed from the published version, so a major remake will be necessary. Therefore, I apologize if it turns out to be something completely different, lol. I think it'll probably be okay, but it depends on how you feel. I also want to neatly wrap up the short story about Veldora and Ifrit. I'm not sure what order I'll release it in, but I want to finish writing it. I hope you will look forward to future spin-off developments, including what happens next in Tempest and the core world. The main story has concluded, but the adventures of Rimuru and his friends continue. We hope you enjoy the ever-expanding world of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime and continue to support us. My creative philosophy is to share with my readers stories that I find enjoyable, and that move me in many different ways. There is no greater joy than if you find it interesting. We sincerely hope to continue to bring you such stories in the future. Well then, I hope to see you again somewhere.